Aloha everyone, this is Leimomi, Keliikuli, Intuitive Soul Alignment Coach here. How's everyone doing today? So today I wanted to share with you, make a video on what really happens when you become like multidimensional and the real truth behind, when you really start to flow into divine will, like what that actually looks like. I got this kind of question recently, so I wanted to share with my audience what that would feel like, what that would look like, and kind of like share it from a little bit of a personal perspective, because we think that we're doing like our work and what we think we need to be doing, but if it's really not truly in alignment, you will not kind of like reap the benefits. So I wanted to take that time to kind of share what that kind of looks like. So if you're just listening in, just say hi, just so I know that you're there. And if you have any questions along the way, you can always just, pop in at the bottom and comment. So about a few months ago, there was a whole lot of like bigger things happening inside of me and outside of me at the same time. And it was very troubling in a sense because I could not at the time really understand the complexity of what was happening to me at soul level, and a physical, mental, and a spiritual level. And it was just actually right before I moved here to Maui. And it was a funny thing because every time whenever I have any kind of like issues that comes up, there's always people, places, things that just kind of like show up at the right timing, and that's basically what happens when you start to become really, really more multidimensional. You can actually pick up these kind of pieces like way before maybe the bigger problem that actually happens. But in this case, I didn't really understand it because I just knew that I was just very tired. I felt depleted, just out of nowhere. And a lot of times when you're being initiated from source, there's like it just happens. And you probably have gone through bouts of it, maybe when you're doing your Saturn return. And by the way, your Saturn return happens like every 9 years. Usually the first like couple of years, you're just like, starting a new beginning of your life or a new decision that you made in your life. And then you either reap the benefits of like going towards that new life and you're working and you're preparing for it, and then you get an explosion of amazing stuff that just happens, whether you get more success or more money or amazing relationship or things like that. Whatever comes up, we usually go to that cycle, and then at the end, around like 7 to 9 years in that time frame, then we go through this completion. So a lot of things that are happening for you at a soul level is because we are kind of like in the end, the 9th year in our evolution, we are like letting go of all the things that we don't want and no longer vibrate with. And so we're being asked to like let go of so many different kinds of illusions of ourselves that it's kind of mind-boggling. So what we're going through right now as a collective is like reestablishing what our true desires are and what our soul level aspects we want to show up as. And so I think about this happened to me actually about 3 years ago. I was going through like amazing success and everything was so awesome. And then I met my husband, and then I had to let go of everything that I was before in this spiritual group that I used to be part of. And everything that was not me, I had to choose to really like consciously get rid of it. And so when you're moving into your multidimensional nature, what's happening is your psychic gifts are like expanding, but at a physical level, you may feel the effects of like being tired, being fatigued easily, right? Just not feeling motivated, or you feel like there's just a lot of like self-sabotage or distractions, or it's just a time when a lot of all the bad excessive things that you never really address, they start to come up. So at the time when all of these negative things come up, that is the exact time to really, really stay true to what you want and what you can do more out of self-love. And so when you're at that point, you really, really need to actually surrender and let like I say God or source to help you. And this is one of the hardest things to do in that time frame, because your mental part of yourself is like, well, I can take care of this, like I know how to do this and that. But when it comes to becoming more multidimensional, you don't even know what you're capable of until your gifts open up and you're like, wow, I never thought I would ever be doing that. Like that's the kind of awakening that will be happening. And so you're going to be experiencing it physically, mentally, and spiritually. The first step is definitely you're going to experience a lot of like changes in your body. So let's say like you gain a lot of weight, or you start getting panic attacks, or you might have, I don't know, like various type of stuff that just starts showing up. That's kind of a bit of like autoimmune. Maybe you've got some skin issues or things like that. That doesn't seem like it has any reason why that would come up. And the reason is because your body is kind of like getting rid of what you're not, and including your bone. So when we move into the 5D, fifth dimensional aspect of ourselves, what happens is our body changes too. Our collarbone, the structure of our bone changes, our rib cage changes. So you're going to feel a lot of like pain in the body. And that's kind of what I've been experiencing, and it's really painful. The only way I can explain it is just that all I need to do is just do nothing. Lay in bed, or do breathing, or take hot baths, take a lot of minerals, drink a lot of water, really take care of my physical health. And so when you're growing at a new level, your body needs to upgrade itself. So everything that's in your body that's not in alignment will explode, basically, like blow up in front of your face. So that is a time when you really, really need help from a spiritual practitioner, or somebody that kind of has an understanding of the different dimensional aspects of what's happening physically, mentally, and spiritually. But the first stage is definitely your physical body has to shift. So a lot of people around me have been sharing that with me. They feel hurt, like in their bones, it hurts. And it's true, because as we're getting into our 5D dimensional nature, our body, our skeletal structure, our organs, like everything is actually shifting. Because the light codes and the higher frequencies are actually coming into our body. And what's happening is you're awakening dormant codes, like light codes, from their brain, from your heart, from all levels of your past and your ancestors. So it's so important to really, really be very aware of your body. And then what happens is, actually, once you've kind of like got rid of a lot of that heavy parts that your body was resisting, you'll start to see that you eat differently. You just automatically start to eat more light, or more vegetables, or you feel like you need to juice. Because actually you cannot contain a lot of that pesticides or those bad things that we hold in the body from our past. So you just start to see like your habits just start to change, and you actually want to, and you're just doing it kind of naturally. And so that's the time when you don't resist. You just have to say, okay, cool, I'm going to eat more vegetables, I'm going to eat more fruits, or whatever feels right. And then the next level is your emotional body will start to change. And what you will notice is you're going to have to really, really deal with illusions or belief patterns of programming from your parents or from generations from before of ways that you're supposed to live. So the thought that I got to work really hard to make money, you know, or that we have to go to school and, you know, and get our degree, and all of these kind of labels of what the collective has labeled us. That's the time when you really, really have to digest and process all of those illusions. And at that time, that is when you need to become very neutral. What happens is your brain and your emotional body, they start to fight with each other, because a part of you is like, well, I don't know how I'm going to pay my bills if I become an entrepreneur, or like, I don't know like how I'm going to be able to, you know, help my children in what they need, or things like that. Like, out of the things that you are afraid of, you have to face. And it's for the good, actually. And the best way that you can go through that is come back into this neutral state. There's no good or bad. It's just what is. And what is true to me right now? What is it that is mine that I need to do? And the most important part is giving back power to your family and friends. So if people are very dependent on you, then you have to give back their ability, right, to take care of themselves. Or if, you know, you are not taking responsibility for yourself, then that means that you have to take more actions towards being in your power, right? If a lot of people has disempowered you. So whatever was the part of the illusions of what you were dealing with, they will show up. And then the next level is your spirituality just like expands. So your psychic gift starts to expand. Your 5 clairs, your 5 major clairs, it usually starts to open up. Your ability to see, which is clairvoyant, your ability to hear beyond what, you know, any sound and vibration, you start to actually hear energetically from your guides or what other people's thoughts are. And then your claircognizant abilities really, really start to awaken, and you'll just have this inner knowing of things. And you'll become very, very sensitive and like an empath, where you actually feel and experience everybody's emotions and thoughts and whatever is going on in your physical environment. So then the next level is finding out, what are my major gifts? What is my unique way that I help people? And doing more of your purposeful work in that way. And so let's say like your gifts is all about coaching people, like coaching people with business strategy stuff. Then it's really important for you to align to your soul group or your unique way that your personality is from the star system that you came from before. And as soon as you start tuning in to your ancestral lines of your star people, or your soul group, I call it, that is when you'll be able to download even more important key information that you will be able to fine tune, and it's going to activate even higher gifts than what you're normally capable of. And then that's when you need to activate your psychic gifts. So I'm just kind of like giving you an understanding of the process of how you start to become multidimensional, right? So when I'm saying you're multidimensional, you'll be able to see things beyond time and space. You will start to be able to read people's energies. You'll be able to feel it in your body. You'll be able to like help at make a bigger impact in the world by actually doing a higher level of what your gift is now. So like, for example, if like I'm a healer type of soul, my gift started to really expand since I moved here to Maui, because my physical environment was in so alignment to my way of creating community and love and connection. And now I'm doing more grid work, creating the Maui Light Collective, and all the different things that's in soul alignment for me, I have better access to because I'm in the right environment. So if you really feel like you're not in the right environment, it's so important to go there as soon as you can, because that is what's going to allow you to expand even further than what you're doing right now. And I'm talking about letting divine will like flow through you in whatever aligned action that you need to do right now, right? So in reality, what divine will is just surrendering into allowing you to flow into abundance. This is just the real truth of what divine will is. We think divine will is, oh, I got to give up everything, right? I got to surrender. And surrender is like, I got to give up control. But actually what happens is you're actually taking control of your sovereignty, your freedom of being of a bigger service, and operating from a bigger space than what you normally would. But what we've been taught for so long is, well, that means I give up my free will. I give up like my ability to say something. But actually what happens is you step into your leadership and you actually embody parts of what you have been wanting all your life, and finally it's all coming together. So what's amazing is when you become multidimensional, you just start to create miracles everywhere. I'm talking about like magical experiences, like things that you just decided one day that you wanted to do, like people, places, things start to happen, like they just show up. You're able to hear this deeper inner voice inside, and it's kind of like the voice of source or God just starts to like guide you into a new way of living, which has to do with just receiving the intuition or the right thing that you need to do at the right time. And that is a time when you need to be very, very discerning about what is mine and what is someone else's. And so you step more into your power, and then this kind of like this awakening starts to happen where your previous like light codes start to flow in your body, and the inspiration comes like in downloads of stuff. And so as a human being, we are the one that needs to decipher, well, what does that mean for me to do right now? What's that going to translate into? Is that going to translate into a book? Is that going to translate into creating a meetup group or a Facebook community, or creating a group offer or things like that? So actually all you need to do is, when you become multidimensional that way, is to just follow the guidance. And it's so organic so people who are very, very strategic and very linear, this kind of will like upset you in the beginning because you're like, well, I thought I was going to do X, Y, Z, but then it turns out like you end up doing something totally different than what you thought you would be doing. And really what happens is you just start to bring more love and connection into your whole lifestyle. Where it's just like your common theme that everywhere you go, there is just this like inner power like of sovereignty. You just talk about it, you self-express, you become more soulful and more authentic in your messaging. So I just wanted to share a bit like how the process kind of looks like and what that ultimately would look like. But in a bigger sense, when you become multidimensional, everything you ever need comes to you in the right time. That's basically what happens. And your gifts, you're able actually to see even more. Like you'll be able to see the grids of the earth. You'll be able to actually do Dreamtime healing work. You'll be able to talk with the angels and guides or the Galactic Council, or like you'll be able to see colors that are unique to a person's soul. You'll be able to read people's souls. You'll be able to access Akashic records. You're going to be able to access the even higher Akashic records, so that like every part of you has become so integrated with oneness of source that you are just source. So I want to share that because I think like people are really kind of a bit scared of what happens when your psychic gifts expand. But I have to tell you that it's actually not scary at all. It becomes more and more tangible, and you hold more space of energy in your body. So the goal is for you to become an ambassador of source, for you to actually be completely one with source, so that everything that you're saying, you're doing, is in abundance for humanity and for the better good of humanity and for Mother Earth too. So if you can see now, like, all the things around you maybe have been becoming very much more chaotic, is that you need to really, really connect with your sovereign being even more and even further, and get deeper into what you truly want. And then when you bring that out into your lifestyle and your business, there's something energetically in your mind that your spiritual part will just become like integrated in one. So your brain and your heart, they're like operating together rather than fighting. Like, rather than the ego fighting with the soul, the ego is kind of like cooperating with the soul, and then you can drive your business and your life in the direction that you truly want to create. So I hope that enlightened you. I hope that got you to think that actually it's a really good thing to be to actually grow your spiritual gifts. And when you're in that process, you will know, you will just know. I promise you, like, the more my gifts has opened, and then the more that I've been initiated for like each and every part of what my divine mission is, I'm supposed to be doing in the world, the clearer it gets. So the clarity actually comes as you activate your gifts, as you allow the integration to happen, and all dimensional parts of yourself, which is, you know, your higher dimensions, your third all the way to your 10th, you're just, you know, like this cake, layers of cake becomes a real one cake, rather than like it being all misaligned and it doesn't look very pretty. That's actually what's happening right now, is all dimensional parts of ourself has not lined up enough, because of all our blueprints have been misaligned from our past experiences. So we're actually needing to bring them all together and integrate, right? Jane says it's tough traversing the dimensions, but so worth it. Yeah, when you really start to actually allow all that dimensional aspects to like exist in your reality. And by the way, we're you know, a matrix, right? We're this embodiment of so many dimensional aspects all happening all at once. When you're actually bringing it all together, it's actually your feminine and your masculine, they become very, very aligned, and you're just like this kind of like straight being of source. Yes, we often have to leap first without knowing where we will land. That's what Flora says. Yeah, when you are doing any of your purposeful work, for sure, you don't know where you're landing. Because actually, when you grow at a higher aspect, you actually activate your spaceship, or we call it really like your source of light creation. That's why I'm teaching this for my next program. You're actually operating in your own unique spaceship, and it's in a way it's like your city of light, your unique light can see beyond all things that is. And it's actually a really beautiful thing to watch unfold. But in the beginning part, it is very, very hard on your body, because your body is going to feel all of the pain. This makes so much sense. I have been so lost, and my body has been talking to me, and something keeps telling me to go certain places, and other areas are taking my energy. So Kim says, yes, so Kim, you have to be very, very aware of where your energy is being pulled. And also you would need to reintegrate your energy fields, and being able to protect your oversoul. And when all of your parts all become integrated, your physical, mental, emotional parts, you will start to see that like you are able to have that kind of like discernment. Anytime somebody's pulling at your energy, you're like, oh no, you know, you can make a clear boundary. But right now, all it is just you might be feeling other people's stuff, And so this is why it's important to disconnect from the collective, because that collective energy really, really keeps you super, super heavy. And this is why you're not motivated. I actually experienced this this weekend. It was really scary for me because I didn't realize as I'm doing my grid work, I connected to the grids of, I opened up the grids and really purified the grids here in central Maui. And it was so like corruption, heavy energy, like no hope energy. And for like 2 days, like I just felt so tired and like I could barely even walk. I could barely even breathe. And then my husband was like, well, what's going on? And he's like, well, check into your guides and see what's happening. And then sure enough, I check into my guides and my oversoul, and it's like, well, you've connected to that collective heavy energy. And then as soon as I cleared it, I released that, I had that awareness, I cleared it. I went from like I could barely walk or even talk really well. I was very, very quiet. To I was jumping. And I could actually like walk and talk and say what I wanted to say. But the whole time I just felt like my voice was like completely squashed. Like felt like I couldn't speak. I couldn't express my opinion. And it was all because I was connected to the heavy collective of that grid that I helped to purify. So the more you the more you understand the kind of what's happening to you energetically, you'll be able to actually, as a multidimensional being, you'll be able to just clear it within seconds. But in the beginning, it might be very hard because you just don't know what's going on. So it's so important to have someone who's at least like, you know, a couple of vibrational steps above you that can actually see what's going on with you energetically or physically or spiritually, because we are actually experiencing different levels of evolution. And so this is actually what I'm helping with in my Be the Source Ambassador program coming up next year in January, is I'm going to really, really help many people to become an ambassador of Source so that they can actually operate in their multidimensionality, rather than being like in this 3D like third dimensional like chaos, the net that keeps people very small and keeps them in this very heavy energy. Because now all of the heart creation of light and everything is all available to us. So it's just a matter of us connecting with it, activating the parts of our gifts that has been dormant for so long, and really standing in our truth and digesting and processing all of these illusions about ourselves. So I hope that enlightened you. I just want to share with that because that was basically what has happened to me over the past couple months. And I'm telling you, it was very, very scary for me. But once I had a better understanding of the multidimensionality, what was actually happening to me at soul level, oh, the clarity was so amazing. I felt really, really just like I could breathe, I could be myself again. But during that time, it was very, very painful, physically, mentally, and spiritually, because I didn't know how to discern what is mine and what is other people's, how to be very neutral and what I needed to do in order to, you know the good or bad. There's no good or bad, there's just what is, right? And then also for my physical body to like upgrade itself. I mean, like for like a whole month, I could barely even walk. Like that's how bad, like everything inside of my body was hurting. So it's a good thing if you're experiencing that, by the way. But you do need someone who can really, really guide you. So I'm opening up the doors for that next year in January. So if you're really interested and you feel like there's something much more bigger that you really want to make an impact in the world, but there's just stuff that's like keeping you from going there, I have all my programs available to help with that shifting into your multidimensional nature. So I'll leave the link below, and if you guys wanted to join any of it, I'll be happy to help you. You can, of course, reach out to me. You can email me or message me. Join my Facebook group, which is the Fame and Fortune Soul Alignment Leaders Business Owners group. And you can also subscribe here or subscribe on my business page. And that's where I share a lot of this like kind of knowledge so that I can help update people on what's really happening spiritually in the world, and how can I help you to bring in more of your multidimensional nature. All right, well, you guys have a beautiful day, and I'll be talking to you guys all very soon. Aloha.